Thank you, my fellow Americans, for listening to me in these troubled times. What I am going to show you is an energy project. It's a green energy project. I invented it in 2011, and with that project and my subsequent attempts for an SBIR, Small Business Innovation and Research Grant, I did in fact cause the Tea Party shutdown of 2011. The date of this patent is one day before that. I then called Senator Rick Crawford, his Office of Constituent Services. Therein I asked for aid in achieving this grant for this project. Subsequently, our nation has not been correct since then. So, let's start with what it does and how it works. This is the basic design, the basic patent. This is a windmill, this is another windmill, this is another windmill here. This is a heat exchanger, and it's heated by solar energy. Okay, wind, we know it's illegal in a red state, particularly in Arkansas, and since 2011, if I recall. This is a squirrel cage fan. It works like that. It goes here in the greenhouse. Greenhouses get hot. Hot air wants to go up. It's called single chimney flue tower. That's the name of my old channel. Patent pending. April 13th, 2011. Drawing number 1. Okay, so this is this top view. Here's your wind rotors. Here's your mirrors. Here's your greenhouse. It all works together, unless it doesn't, in which case this will work on its own. Same here and same here. This is the generator. We'll get back to that in a minute. This part is a cutaway view of the inside of this part. Bearing surfaces, squirrel cage fan, no axle, induction coil, magnets, and these are just big giant rings that spin around and around. And these are crescent shaped pillars. Now they're wind vanes because there's a matching set counter rotating like the other drawing that we've seen previously. Our next drawing is another drawing of the intricacies of the squirrel cage fan. This is the part that moves. This is where we put our magnets. This is, the outer louvers that counter rotate the rotor and the primary impeller in this section of the design. So you just put some magnets on there, bolt the tower to the top of this, and the greenhouse gets hot, and we're making electricity off of waste heat. This drawing is about the internal structure of the wind rotor assembly. Here's our magnet. Here's our coil assembly. These are bearings. This is just another barrel. Here is a weather vane. This drawing is called an inset, and it's only that big. It's a different drawing. I put two drawings on the same piece of paper. So, when you're thinking about the wind vane, think about the purple part, the gray and the blue and the red don't matter. Then when you're thinking about this coil and this magnet arrangement, you then look at this strange lattice structure, because the blue are the magnets and the red are the coils. They have to be 90 degrees out from each other. I knew I could solve that problem. This drawing is the steam, what is this? Yeah, it's a steam turbine. It's a dynamo. Okay, you put steam in here, it spins that doodad, which has magnets on it. See, orange, blue, red, brown. Okay, so it just sits on the ground. You blow steam into it and it makes electricity because it doesn't have a shaft. I got rid of that. It costs money. No shaft in here. This is the simplest version I can make. 75 feet tall. Here's the wind portion. Here is the solar portion. These are called heliostats. Common technology based on even older technology. A scientific principle. I'm using 3 different scientific principles at once. Hot air rises, makes things move. The sun makes steam, makes things move internally down below. The wind heats the Earth's crust, makes the wind move, and you have wind power. No shaft in any of that. 3 different concepts. Nobody does that besides me. So, let's have some other weird drawings. I'm cheap and I'm poor. And this was a poor man's patent. Anyway, yes, back this way. You remember this drawing? Okay, that's what it looks like when you draw it in isometric. Here is an isometric of this drawing here. The cameraman's doing his job. Yes, you can display it and build it that way if you want. Because we have seam vanes, the magnets, and the coils. There's this. This unit can be pared down even more. And for a single family dwelling, they're all 75 feet tall. This is a wind rotor. So set up a development unit so that we can all live in these things. Another concept provided by the hubless rotor design, which appears 3 different ways throughout my design. We can now use it in a tall structure. I call it a campanella. It's a French word for an Italian bell tower. Unless it's an Italian word for a French bell tower, I forget. Anyway, if you want to go medieval, my personal favorite, you can have it round and live in Rapunzel's tower. Or if you want to go square, square costs more and is not as strong. Round is stronger. Round is cheaper. Lastly, a 2-point perspective of most of the ground installation. Here's what it looks like as a condominium. You can get as much as 4 family units on the floor. Except, of course, for mine, right up next to the heat exchanger, that's my penthouse. Unless you build one on your own, and then you can have a penthouse. But anyway, if you're a farm boy, you're going to want to know all the stuff that goes inside and stuff that you can do with it, like solar panels. Just cover that with solar panels and 1,000 other things. You can do aquaculture in here, and you can have grow towers, and you can have row crops, and a big giant fish pond. You can grow bass. And anyway, It comes with a biomass pit and a geothermal water vapor recovery system and a sodium chloride basement pit. Yeah, just make the structure and the basement the same unit. That way you can just use it for your salt, which carries temperatures. It stores temperatures above 750 degrees or thereabouts. Anyway, heat exchanger, you need to run that, and you need all this cool stuff with it. And pollen filters and steam radiators help beehives have a better winter and increasing your honey production, especially if you're growing flowers inside a greenhouse. And forget about pesticides and herbicides. Make sure you work the filter units. This unit turns salt water, brackish water, into fresh water. It just takes all the principles that I've discussed heretofore, and it makes salt water into steam, put it in a desert region, and start pumping water. So if you had hundreds of these units, you'd need one of these to water it, especially if you built it in the desert. And there are numerous desert regions throughout the world that could be reforested. And lastly, isometric of the internal squirrel cage fan. Thank you for your time, America. We have much to discuss.